The 2026 World Cup produced something nobody expected. Not just shock results, not just goals. Entire countries have rewritten their World Cup history in days. Canada finally won. Egypt ended a 92-year wait. DR Congo erased one of the darkest campaigns the tournament has ever seen. These are every country that broke or established its own World Cup record so far. And by the time we reach number one nation will have achieved almost everything it had failed to do across its entire history. Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favorites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop. Number 20, Germany. Germany had never lost a World Cup penalty shootout, 4 wins out of 4. Then Paraguay ended the streak. Kai Havertz, Nick Woltermaid and Jonathan Tah all missed, and Germany lost 4-3. For the first time, the nation once considered automatic from the spot had been knocked out on penalties. Number 19, Paraguay. Paraguay had played 5 World Cup knockout matches before facing Germany and failed to score in every single one. England shut them out in 1986, France in 1998, Germany in 2002, Japan and Spain in 2010. Then Julio Enciso headed Paraguay in front and scored the first knockout goal in the country's history. They then survived 120 minutes and won the shootout 4-3. It was their first time eliminating a former world champion and only their second World Cup knockout victory. 16 years after their last appearance, Paraguay are suddenly in the last 16. Number 18, Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan's first World Cup did not go the way they hoped. 3 games, 3 defeats, but they still created history. Their goal against Colombia was the first World Cup goal the country had ever scored. Then they did it again against DR Congo. 2 goals from their debut tournament. No points, no miracle qualification, but Uzbekistan did not disappear without leaving a mark. Number 17 is Jordan. They also lost all 3 matches but somehow scored in every one against Austria, Algeria and Argentina. That made them the only 2026 debutant to score in every group match. They went home without a point, but nobody kept them completely quiet. Number 16, Curaçao. Curaçao became the smallest country by population ever to play at a men's World Cup. Then they became the smallest to score at 1 against Germany. Their goalless draw with Ecuador brought their first point and clean sheet. At 78, Dick Advocaat also became the oldest coach in World Cup history. One tiny island, several enormous firsts. Number 15, Qatar. Qatar lost all 3 matches when they hosted in 2022. 4 years later, they finally earned their first point with a 1-1 draw against Switzerland. They also scored twice, improving on the single goal they managed in 2022. Qatar still went out in the group stage and the 6-0 defeat to Canada was brutal, but this time they did not leave completely empty-handed. Number 14, New Zealand. New Zealand scored 4 goals in 2026, their highest total at one World Cup. That equals what they scored across their previous 2 appearances combined. They also scored in all 3 group matches for the first time. The results were not enough, but this was New Zealand's most productive World Cup attack. Number 13, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia had only appeared once before, in 2014. They won 1 game, collected 3 points and went home. This time they drew with Canada, beat Qatar and finished with a national best 4 points. Their 5 goals also surpassed their 2014 total. Most importantly, Bosnia reached the knockouts for the first time. Number 12, United States. The United States opened by beating Paraguay 4-1. That was the first time the country had scored 4 goals in a World Cup match. They followed it with 2 against Australia and 2 against Turkey, giving them 8 group stage goals, another national record. Number 11, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast had appeared at 3 previous World Cups and never made it past the group. This year, they finally did it. Victories over Ecuador and Curacao gave them a record 6 points. It was also their first World Cup with 2 wins and 2 clean sheets. Previous Ivorian teams had more famous names. This one actually worked better together. Number 10. South Africa. South Africa had failed to reach the knockouts in 1998, 2002 and even at home in 2010. Then they beat South Korea and finally crossed the line. Their round of 32 appearance became the best finish in the country's history. At 74, Hugo Broos also became the oldest coach to win a World Cup match. Number 9. Morocco. Morocco scored 4 in a World Cup match for the first time when they beat Haiti 4-2. They finished the group with a national best 6 goals and scored in every match. That victory also moved them ahead of every other African nation for total World Cup wins and goals. They completed an African record 601 passes against Scotland, while Ismail Saibari became the first African player to score in 3 consecutive World Cup matches. Morocco were collecting records everywhere. Number 8. Norway. Norway returned after 28 years and immediately produced their biggest World Cup victory, beating Iraq 4-1. They then defeated Senegal, giving them 2 wins at one tournament for the first time. Norway finished with national records of 6 group points and 8 goals. Their previous best team reached the last 16 in 1998. Number 7. Mexico. Mexico had reached the knockouts many times but never completed a perfect World Cup group. In 2026, they won all 3 matches, collected 9 points and conceded nothing. They also extended their World Cup winning streak to 4 matches when the final game of 2022 is included. No Mexican team had done that before. In fact, no CONCACAF team had ever won 4 straight World Cup matches. Number 6. Japan. Japan's 4-0 destruction of Tunisia was their biggest World Cup victory. It was also the biggest win by an AFC nation at the tournament, and it happened in the 1000th match in men's World Cup history. Japan scored a national record 7 goals in the group stage, then added another against Brazil to finish with 8. Number 5. Senegal. Senegal entered their final group match with 0 points and 1 chance left. Their response was a 5-0 destruction of Iraq. It became their biggest World Cup victory and made them the first African country to score 5 in a World Cup match. They ended the group with a national record 8 goals. Somehow, that attack only squeezed them through in 3rd place. Nothing about this tournament has been normal. Number 4. Egypt. Egypt first played at the World Cup in 1934. They then waited 92 years for a victory. It finally arrived against New Zealand with a 3-1 win. Egypt also reached the knockouts for the first time, finished a group unbeaten for the first time, and set national highs with 5 points and 5 goals. Generations of Egyptian legends never won a World Cup match. This team finally did. Number 3. Cape Verde. Cape Verde arrived as a debutant from a country of roughly 500,000 people. They left the group unbeaten. Draws against Spain, Uruguay and Saudi Arabia gave them their first points, first goals and a knockout place. They were the only debutant to survive the group and became the smallest country by population to reach the World Cup knockouts. They did not win a match. They still made history. Number 2. DR Congo. The last time DR Congo appeared, they were called Zaire. They lost all 3 games in 1974, conceded 14 and scored none. 52 years later, they changed everything. Their draw with Portugal brought their first goal and point. Their 3-1 comeback against Uzbekistan delivered their first victory. 4 points, 4 goals and a first knockout appearance followed. In 3 games, DR Congo erased a nightmare lasting more than half a century. Number 1. Canada. Before 2026, Canada had played 6 World Cup matches and lost all 6. Then everything changed. They earned their first point against Bosnia. They destroyed Qatar 6-0 for their first win, biggest win and first clean sheet. It was also the first time a CONCACAF nation had scored more than 4 goals in a World Cup match. Canada finished the group with national highs of 4 points and 8 goals, advanced for the first time, then beat South Africa for their first knockout victory and first place in the last 16. 18 countries, 18 reminders that this World Cup has not just belonged to the usual giants. For Canada, Egypt and DR Congo, decades of failure disappeared in a few matches. For Cape Verde and Curaçao, the records began the moment they arrived. And the wildest part is that the tournament is not finished. Some of these records can still grow. Which country's record surprised you most? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you are watching without a subscription, what are you actually doing? Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and we will see you in the next one.